Hello, everyone. My name is Srija. If you don't know who I am, I've been meditating for a little over 2 years now, and I have so much gratitude to Meditation Magic, to Patriji, to Divya Auntie, and to all of these wonderful masters for giving me so much wisdom over the course of the years. I am 21 years old and I'm almost finishing up college, so meditation has definitely taught me so much. And today, I wanted to talk about a really important concept, as Mrinalini Aunty mentioned, which is self forgiveness. So, self forgiveness is the first and most foundational step to achieving any kind of self development in life, whether it be self love, manifesting, healing. If you don't forgive yourself properly and fully, you will not be able to reach the vibrational frequency that is necessary to become the best possible version of yourself. So, if you want to start any sort of self development journey, you first need to learn how to forgive yourself. And I recently learned this lesson in a hard way. And I learned so much wisdom, which is why I wanted to share it with everybody today. So I hope that this session teaches you something, if anything. So yeah, the only way you'll really be able to love yourself, become the highest version of yourself, and spread positivity is if you first learn to be at peace with yourself. And that comes from self-forgiveness. So, to give you a little bit of background, I used to be the type of person that would severely punish myself and drown in guilt for any little mistake that I made. I'm not sure if it was my upbringing or societal expectations that had this influence on me, but every single time I made any sort of mistake in life, intentionally or unintentionally, if I hurt anyone, if I failed at something, I would beat myself up for days and I would fall into this really harmful mindset that I don't deserve anything and I don't deserve to be happy, and there's basically no point. But first, I really wanted to address this and talk about why it is so important to practice self forgiveness. So, when we punish ourselves for making mistakes or doing something wrong, which every single human on this earth is bound to do, we're bound to fail, we're bound to mess up, make mistakes. But when we punish ourselves for it, instead of getting better, we're again pushing ourselves back into that low vibrational energy. And as we all know, since we're all familiar with the law of attraction by now, the negative energy that we get from putting ourselves in such a low vibrational state will again cause more negative experiences, which can result in more mistakes, more failure, and hurting more people. And it's just going to be this constant negative cycle that we put ourselves in every time we punish ourselves and mess up. And that's going to end up being a more harmful experience for yourself and for the people around you, which is so counterproductive. But instead, imagine you learn to forgive yourself, forgive other people, raise your frequency, and learn how to become a positive light in this world. And with your light, imagine how much good you can do for other people. When you learn how to forgive yourself, learn and grow, you can spread that to your community, to the people around you, and spread that positive energy and become such a positive impact and teach other people how to do that, which is you helping them and you becoming a good person. But you can only do that if you are an embodiment of this positive energy yourself. That's why it is so important to learn how to forgive ourselves, forgive other people, and move on from past mistakes, which is why I really wanted to talk about this topic today. So I understand more than anybody how hard it can be to move on from something that has happened, right? Life is always throwing challenges at us. Life is always throwing obstacles at us. And sometimes we're bound to mess up. Sometimes we're not going to do the very best thing. But there's two paths you can take every time that happens. One, you can again fall back into that old pattern of guilt, shame, which, if you guys are familiar with the vibrational chart, guilt and shame are actually the most bottom levels of the chart, and anything below that is death. So it's actually very harmful to be in this state, which again is going to cause more negative experiences and just harm our physical and mental bodies. So you could either choose to stay in that and cause yourself and others around you harm, or you could learn how to get better, heal, and become someone that is positive and that is a light and spreads that light to other people. So I have a few tips today that have helped me and I hope will be able to help anybody here. So the number one tip I would say is to feel your feelings and not push them away. So, just recently in the month of April, I had an experience happen to me where I ended up losing a lot of my friends in college. And all of these rumors started to spread about me that were just not true. A lot of harmful language was being used towards me. And I, because of that, ended up losing a lot of friends, had to like burn a lot of bridges with people, which really put me in a negative headspace. And I felt so many things. I was angry and sad, but mostly I felt guilty because even though a lot of negative things happened to me, I knew that I was also the cause of some of these issues that had started. So, because I felt guilty and I didn't know how to handle that guilt, I would try to cover it up with anger or with sadness or with excuses. And I would just complain about the situation over and over again to my parents or my friends. And I knew that deep down, I was just making excuses for myself and replacing all of the guilt I had with other emotions. But this actually ended up being so harmful to me because I just felt worse and worse and worse every time I did that. And even my mom could tell. She was like, "Your energy is so low. You need to learn how to let this go. And you need to learn how to stop feeling so guilty and just see what you can learn." But it was so hard for me to face it. So I ended up pushing it off and off and off, which ended up making me feel so much worse. But I learned that the more you try to bury your emotions or run away from them, the more stuck they'll get in your body and in your mind, and the worse it will be for them to come out. Feeling your feelings openly is truly the best way to let them go because you're also releasing control. When you try to control a situation and go against the plan that the universe has for you, you're only going to build more resistance towards it, and it will just keep coming back and biting you again. So I would really recommend, even if it sucks, just sitting with your feelings, observing them, and seeing what you can learn from them. That is also really important. Something that I do is I have a journal. So every time I felt these negative emotions, I would write them down and see why I'm feeling them, being really honest with myself, and then choosing to let them go through meditation. And that is something that really helped me. The second thing that I want to say is that every single day is a brand new day, right? So every morning you wake up, you get to decide who you want to be. So I know last week Divyanti and Sushmanti told us that when they went to the Joe Dispenza retreat, he said that no matter what life you lived in the past, like even if you committed crimes against people, even if you did the most horrible things, you have the ability to change. And that's because the past and the future are not real, right? So the only thing that is physical and real is this moment right here when I'm talking to all of you and all of you are listening to me. This is real, right? What happened yesterday is not real, and what happened tomorrow is not real as well. So this means that you get to choose who you want to be every single second. If you don't like the person that you used to be, if you don't like the qualities that used to define who you are, they don't have to define you anymore. You always have the power to change and become better. And all you have to do is just be intentional about it. So practicing awareness is super important, and learning to live in the present is everything. So I would really recommend practicing awareness. So what I like to do is if I'm ever catching myself dwelling about the past, I just remind myself, okay, that's not my reality anymore. I get to control what my reality is, and my reality is that I'm someone that is really kind, and I'm someone that always does good to people. And me affirming that in myself helps me realize that who I am now is what matters and not who I used to be. And I just want to remind everybody that the human experience means making mistakes and learning from it. If none of us ever made any mistakes and we were absolutely perfect, we would, be God. Or we would be this like all powerful thing. And even though we have so much power in us, we're also human beings. And part of human beings is having flaws and imperfections. And if you think about it, that's what makes us so beautiful, right? It's not the things that we're perfect at or the things that we, are already super good at. It's the part of us that grows and evolves. And part of human evolution is becoming something that you used to not be, which is so beautiful. And all of our flaws make us who we are. So it's so good to embrace that and grow from it. Whenever we make mistakes, we have to remember that we only do what we think is best with the limited knowledge that we have, right? If the reason you feel so guilty is because who you are today would not have done what you did had you known all this information in the past, which is such a good thing if you think about it because you've grown so much. And now you're the type of person who would never make that mistake again, which means you're a different person and you're a new person. And that's so beautiful. And that just shows how much you've grown. So if you're ever feeling guilty, that's such a good way to transform your mindset. You should be like, I'm so proud of myself for feeling guilty because now it means that I would never do something like that ever again. And it doesn't matter how big or small the mistake is, it just matters how you view it. Like I'm someone that views even the smallest things as like the biggest mistakes. So now I think every time I'm like, oh, that's, I would never do that now, which I'm so proud of myself for learning and growing from it instead of staying in the same cycle, you know? And another thing is, I encourage all of you after this session is over, if you're journaling at night or you're just reflecting, to think of a time where you made a mistake and it ended up working in your favor. So I did this exercise recently, and I could think of 5 to 6 times in my life where something didn't go my way, but I'm so grateful that it didn't go that way because now I am the person that I am now, and I'm so happy with the person that I am now, despite things not going my way in the past. And that's just a reminder for us that the universe always has a plan for us. The universe is always watching over us. It knows what is best for us. So whenever you think, oh, that shouldn't have happened to me, and it's so easy to get caught in that sad spiral, just think of the big plan that the universe has for us. And we all know by now that everything happens for a reason. We all have our life plans, and everything is working out for our greater good. If you truly have that belief so ingrained to you, you're going to be like, oh, one or two little bumps in the road, that's not going to stop my big plan and my big picture. So that's what really helps me as well. And something I personally like to do when I'm trying to process all of the negative emotions and I'm not able to forgive myself is I like to write letters to the universe or letters to God. You can write it to any God you believe in, or you could just write it to the universe. But in these letters, I try to be so honest with myself and with God and say sorry for everything that I did, say the lesson that I learned from it, how I'm going to grow from it, and ask for forgiveness from the universe. Sometimes it is hard to ask for people for forgiveness, like if you're not talking to them anymore, or if they don't want to talk to you, out of respect, you don't want to keep bothering people. You can always say sorry to the universe, and that will be equally as beneficial. So I always ask for forgiveness and I feel so much better after it because it just feels like the universe is my best friend and I'm just telling, all of my feelings. I have best friends where I could just call them and tell them anything. And I feel like when I'm writing letters to the universe, it's also like we're on FaceTime and it's just listening to me and giving me all the wisdom. And it's so good because I will write the letters to the universe and then I'll sit in meditation for maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and I feel the connection enhance. And I even get messages of the universe telling me that I'm on the right path or that everything is working out well. And I feel like it really tightens my connection. So I really recommend that everybody at least once write a letter to the universe. Just be completely honest and really feel the emotions as you do this. And the universe is always listening. And it will always accept your apology. That's what's so wonderful about the universe. It's like all of our parents, and it's always going to accept, forgive, and help us. So that's also something I really like to do. And I also like to do forgiveness meditation. I know that Divyanti introduced me to forgiveness meditation called Ho'oponopono. And this is where you say, I'm sorry, thank you, please forgive me, and I love you. And you listen to it over and over again and think of one person or just think of, just people in general. And it really helps me practice forgiveness for other people as well. And lastly, I just want to say that under everything, under all of these complex layers that we are as humans, we're just souls, right? We're just embodiments of energy on this earth. We were put on this earth with challenges and obstacles already pre-planned for us. When we're born, we already know what the life plan is going to be. So everything is meant to happen. We're meant to learn from people. We're meant to have our karma with people and move on. And part of that is making mistakes and learning from them, right? So whenever something happens to you, just think, what does my soul want to learn from this? And that always helps me a lot because it reminds me that under all of this, we're all the same. We're all just the universe manifested in different forms to learn and to grow together. And the human experience is like not real, in the sense that it's all temporary. And at the end of the day, we're all going to go to the same place where we're all going to be at peace. And this is just for us to learn and to grow. And everything is just part of the human experience. And every single day in the morning, I recommend you just affirm to yourself, today is a new day. Who do I want to be? And every time I consciously think that, I have a list of qualities that I either write down or I just think to myself, and I carry that intention with me the entire time. And it's a work in progress. It definitely takes me time. It's not just something that I do one time and I feel so much better. Everything takes time, healing takes time, but that's the beauty of it is that every single day you just become 1% better. And that's all, that's enough. You don't need to do 100 in a single day. And yeah, you have so much power inside of you. Every single one of us truly has so much power inside of us, and all the little things that happen, they're just part of the bigger picture. And something I really like to reflect on is, what is my purpose? And I think, yeah, maybe I made mistakes, but I learned to forgive myself, and now I get to spread that knowledge to everybody else. And imagine this knowledge helps someone else going through something similar or something worse, which then in turn is part of my purpose, of spreading knowledge and spreading wisdom. So everything is always part of a bigger picture. And the universe is inside of us no matter what. We all carry those God qualities, and we just have to be intentional about, carrying them with us every day. And even if we make mistakes, even if we fail, part of it is learning to accept and grow from it and just become a better version of ourselves than we were even 2 hours ago. We're always new, we're always generating new cells in our body, which means that we're actively becoming new people every single day, which is so beautiful. And it means that you can decide that tomorrow is the first day of your life, and it will be. You can always be like, tomorrow is the first day of my new life where I get to be this new person, and your reality will start shifting with your mindset. And the universe is always putting people in front of us to teach us something, right? People are not going to be in our life forever, but I also think that that's beautiful that our book has so many chapters. And some chapters have some characters and other chapters have other characters, and that's what makes our story so interesting and so beautiful and so complex. So it's so important to embrace that. And at the end of the day, we're all that we have. Parents come and go, friends come and go, teachers will come and go, but we're with us 24/7. So it's so important that you learn to forgive and love yourself, because if you're not going to be there for yourself, who else is going to be there for you, right? And if we want everyone to be there for us and we want the universe to give us all these things, we need to learn how to give it to ourselves first, because that's how you match the vibrational frequency of your highest self or for your dream life. And when you get to that place of being in the high vibrational state, you're going to spread positivity to so many people and just make so many people's day. So I wanted to tell you a quick little story about the universe actually telling me that I was on the right path. So I was, doing all these things, practicing self-forgiveness, practicing self-love. And I one day woke up and I was like, universe, please give me a sign if I'm becoming, the best version of myself and if I'm on the right path. And this was literally like last week. So I went to this coffee shop with my friend, and we were talking to the barista, the girl who makes the coffees, and we were saying, "Oh, your hair looks so beautiful. How do you do it?" We were just talking to her, and then she ended up giving us our coffee for free. And she was like, "You are such a light. You made my day, and you're such a positive person. You spread so much joy to me, and that's why I wanted to do something back for you." And it was literally that morning that I asked the universe to give me a sign. And that girl literally told me that I was a light and I was spreading positivity. And I was so grateful for that, because the universe gave me the perfect sign that I needed to, keep going. So I just want to let you know that the universe is always on all of your side too, just like it is on my side, because we're all good people with good hearts who just make mistakes sometimes, and that's completely okay. And when you learn and you grow from it, you become so much better than other people, but also than yourself from the past. So I hope that no matter what life throws at all of us, because we're all on our different journeys, you learn how to practice self-forgiveness, because it is truly the foundation of self-development. And I know we're all here to develop ourselves. And when you master this, you are going to become so powerful, and you will continue to be the light that everybody else needs. So that's all I have today. Thank you so much.